Hello! So today the winter update is live across all platforms. It's already been downloadable for me on PC, but the time is going to vary depending on platform and where you are in the world. The footage in the background is me sniping, trying to unlock the Aquarius dog tag, but there will be some little bits of CTE to highlight the points or the new features. So what changes do we actually have in the winter update? Well, in this video I'm going to look at what they're calling the persistent changes. So this isn't going to cover weapon updates or bug fixes. I'll cover those in another video because there are an awful lot of them. So what I am going to look at in this video is new features and gameplay updates. So let's get started with the first of those, which is ribbons. DICE have effectively reintroduced the ribbon system from Battlefield 4. At the start we're just getting 20 ribbons, and these are mostly combat related, so getting kills with various weapons, vehicles, horseback, that kind of thing. When you achieve a ribbon it will appear on screen in the top centre, and in the XP counter you will see 300 XP. As in Battlefield 4, all of these ribbons run all the time, so it's not like medals where you have to select one. These just constantly run, so as you're getting kills with weapons you'll start earning ribbons. You can earn multiple ribbons in a round, each one giving you the 300 XP. That XP goes directly into your on-screen XP counter, and the ribbon will appear in the top centre of the screen. You can check out the ribbons, which ones you've earned, how many of them you've got in the soldier screen. There's a new tab there called ribbons. As you can see, the graphics for the ribbons are based on the medals in game, and they have very similar names, but earning ribbons won't get you medals like it did in Battlefield 4. The medal system is still separate. You still have to select one medal and work towards it, but the ribbons and the XP you get from them you just get as you play the game. The next update is for class ranks, and the class rank max has been lifted from level 10 to level 50. There are new icons for the soldier screen and the kill screen to show what rank you are. 0 to 10 will still have the same white icon, then 10 to 24 will get the bronze icon, 25 to 49 will get the silver icon, and the gold icon is just for rank 50. You also get new dog tags with the class ranks, but those work slightly differently. They're every 10 levels. So at level 20 you'll get a star on your dog tag, level 30 you'll get 2 stars on your dog tag, level 40 you'll get 3 stars on your dog tag, and then at level 50 you'll get a silver version of the dog tag, and that will still have all the kill information that you normally get written on the dog tag as well. But we're not finished there. There's still more flavour they're trying to add to the secondary achievement aspects of the game, and this comes with some new codex entries. So these are the elite codices. There's 8 of them for 8 base weapons, and to unlock these codices you need to get 500 kills with the weapons. If you do so you'll get a really large codex entry on that weapon, but most importantly you'll get 25,000 XP. There are 2 different weapons for each class, so even if you only play one class you can still get 50,000 XP by doing these codex entries. And the weapons are the M1897 shotgun, the Automatico M1918, the Selbstlader M1916, the M1907 SL, the SMLE Mark III, the Gewehr M95, the M1909 Benny Mercy, and the Madsen MG. And when you unlock these codices entries there's a fancy new graphic to go with each one. In the live stream on the winter update that happened yesterday, DICE basically said that this is just the start of what they want to do, and that they realise that the content levels in Battlefield 4 aren't matched in Battlefield 1. So that's what they're planning to do. And they hinted that we're going to get more of this kind of update in the They Shall Not Pass DLC and the spring update. So those are what DICE are calling the persistent updates. These are things that are adding more flavour to the game. We already know the game is pretty good, but like I say, it lacks the secondary content that games like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 used to have. DICE are also adding a couple of new features to the server rental program. Now this is coming out very slowly. Really, this server rental program should be sorted by now, but we are getting a couple of new features that are interesting and useful. So the first of these is that the server admin can now kick or ban players from their server. Now you can still only have one server admin per server, but this does now mean that the admin can kick any player that they think is cheating or is being abusive to other players, or they can just kick players to make room for their own clan mates, which is something that they haven't been able to do before, and that kind of ruins the idea of a clan running a server. The second new feature for rental servers, which might come to main servers if enough people like it, is a map vote system. This lets you choose one of two maps from the current server rotation, and because it's been stuck on the end screen, it doesn't take up any more time at the end of the round. You simply click on the map of the two that you like, you can see the votes as they're being cast, the one with the most votes, that's the map you play next. And DICE have said if people like this system, then they will introduce it into the live game, not just onto the server rental program. They might run some servers with map votes and some servers without. On the server side, they've added a couple of new options to the custom games. So server admins will now have the option to turn off the behemoth. It's going to be on by default, but they can turn it off if they don't like behemoths in their games. And they can change the way that players spawn on other players. There is now a setting to allow it to spawn on squad leader only. So this was quite popular in some modes on Battlefield 4, and now it's come to Battlefield 1. Right, so let's have a look at the gameplay changes. They've improved the cavalry victim experience. So this means if you're on the end of a cavalry saber, it will no longer feel like the guy was 20 meters away just swiping his sword at thin air. From the side of the cavalry soldier, he was right next to you swinging, but from your point of view he seemed to be quite a distance away. That has now been fixed. They fixed a couple of errors with the elite class kits. The health regeneration had too long of a delay on it, and they also carried too many grenades, so those have been fixed. They've attempted to balance out the suppression effects, so now suppression won't start as early. If you're firing your LMG at a sniper, I've never really found that suppression did anything, but apparently it does do something, and DICE have decided that they're going to make the suppression build up slower, so suppression takes more rounds to actually affect the opponent. The gas grenade has finally received a nerf. Unfortunately, it's not reducing the number down from 2 to 1 like I would have liked, but they have reduced the duration of the gas. It used to last 22 seconds, it will now only last 15 seconds. Vehicles have also had the gas duration reduced, so when they release gas it now doesn't last as long, but they've also had the cooldown in between gas releases reduced, so they can still pretty much do the same amount of gas, it's just in shorter bursts with a shorter gap in between. Other vehicle changes include fixes to the first person and third person camera views. So in first person they fixed an issue where if you were taking damage or you were repairing your tank, you'd get bits of the tank appearing in your view and just obstructing it. In third person view it's basically lining up the gun and weapon visuals a bit better. The heavy tank will now show up on the map when it's actually firing. This was a bit of a downer because the heavy tank could be blazing away and it still wouldn't show up on your map. Now it should. And they've also supposedly fixed an issue where multiple tanks would become available to a team when they shouldn't be. So this would be spawn locations not in your control letting you spawn other tanks. Now the reason I've said supposedly fixed is there are reports that this was still an issue on the CTE servers when they were testing this update, but I don't know if DICE made a change in between CTE and this going live, so this you'll need to test out. A nice change that they made is joining an operation, so if you go through the matchmaking system to join an operation, you should no longer join an operation that's right at the end. The matchmaking will now not put you into a round that's at the last set of objectives, so quite a few times you join a round it would be almost at the end, and it was trying to balance out the fact that a load of people on the losing side had already left. I would really like an option that just said let me join a round at the start. I'm prepared to wait, but unfortunately that's not there yet. Although I'm not a fan of the medal system, they have made a few changes to it. These are basically minor fixes in the way it operates. So at the start of the week, the first medal on your list will automatically be selected by default, so you will always have an active medal. And they've changed it so that the active medal will always be highlighted, so when you go back into a game you won't find that your medal has been deselected. There's no mention of a fix for the fact that most of the time my medals show my progress last week for some reason, and then it takes an hour or so to reset to being what this week's medals are, but maybe that's included in these two fixes, one can but hope. Another really nice change that they made is that players can't spawn or select to spawn in vehicles during the pre-round countdown. That means that basically while you're waiting for other players to join the server so the round can start, somebody can't grab the planes or the tanks before you've even joined the server. There have been a lot of changes and improvements to spectator mode, but I'm not going to go through those because these are kind of pretty geeky changes to do with filming, rather than actually just watching a game. And I'm not sure how many people actually use spectator mode for anything other than filming YouTube videos. So if you are interested in spectator mode, I guess you should really go and read the patch notes on battlefield.com. And finally, there have been a few map adjustments. Have you ever had that situation where you jump through a window, land in a table and find yourself stuck in it? Well, no longer. They fixed the issue with the floating debris on the destroyed table, and they fixed the issue where you've got stuck on that debris. There's a couple of changes to the windmill, so now you shouldn't be able to clip through the walls and internal structures of the windmill, and if you throw a grenade at somebody sniping from that top balcony, your grenade won't fall through the balcony anymore, it will land on it. Wooden fences have been fixed so that they won't flicker in certain lighting conditions, and their destruction will work better not leaving elements just hanging around in the air. They fixed a couple of the spawn locations on Suez, so you now shouldn't spawn underground or in a tree. They fixed an issue where underwater sounds would play while you were running around on land, and they've stopped a little exploit where players could move on top of the map on Argonne Forest. This was very much like the old Metro glitch where you could get up into the roof, but on Argonne Forest you could basically run around on the top of the map. Now you can't do that anymore. Right, so that's everything in the winter update that doesn't involve the weapons. There are a few buffs and a few nerfs and a few fixes to do with the weapons, but this video's gone on long enough, so I'll do a separate video on those weapon changes, which will probably come out later today or tomorrow. Thanks for watching.